All right. Welcome back to the Maple.Realty Show, episode 7. And this week we're going to talk about the January market stats. All right,
For
Roman, what,
2026.
what do we need to know?
Okay, so these are the overall market trends for January 2026. Again, if you haven't watched previous episodes, this is for the GTA as a whole, so Greater Toronto Area. But GTA home sales are down a whopping 19.3% year over year. So the total was 3,082 sales versus 3,820 last December. So buyers are still waiting to be convinced that the economy and labor markets are on a solid footing. Average price came in at $973,289. First time it hit under a million since 2020. So it's down 6.5% year over year. And in our last market update video, we made a prediction if it would drop below $1 million. And I remember we all thought that it would, because I think at
Mm-hmm.
that point it was like $6,000 away from dropping under a million.
Oh,
So we
yeah.
remember that. So we all predicted it would drop below. And I remember, I think I said it or all of us said it. We thought it wouldn't drop past below 2020 average, which was 926,340. So that was the last time we saw an average price below a million. So I want to ask
Mhm.
you, is your prediction still the same or is it different now? So if right now we're at 973,000
Mhm.
and then some change. And in 2020
Uh,
was 9,000, 6,000. So 973,000 versus 926,000. So what are your predictions? You think it will go below?
oh, okay.
I think it can
Sorry.
close.
Yeah, I got disconnected. So basically, from my understanding, you were asking if now the price is at like 960 or 970, if it will
Nine.
go below 9. Okay. In my opinion, I don't think it's gonna go below 920.
Just
I can't predict the bottom, but I think this is somewhat close to as low as we're gonna go. We might go lower, but I don't think we're gonna break 900. Like we're not going to 899. That's
I
my
think I would agree with you. Maybe we're really optimistic or we're just trying to stay strong on our previous prediction, but I would agree. I I think it was pretty obvious. Obviously, anything could have happened, but we were still close below a million. And the way the market was trending for the last 3 years, I think it was um, overdue that there had to be a bit of a correction, I guess I would call it, in terms of it going below a million again, to give some, I guess, reprieve for new buyers and stuff to feel maybe more confident to jump in the market. But I have a hard time believing that it would go below 926, which was in 2020. So that's almost 6 years ago. I would agree with you. I think 900 at the max will be the bottom. But again, yeah, anything could happen. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I think
So,
lately another factor to the lesser prices and the low sales is I think the weather has been really at play for January and February. It's been pretty cold and a lot of snow. So I think a lot of properties aren't being seen and it does them a disservice because if they're not seen, then no one gets the opportunity to like them, want to bid, and then be able to buy them. So I think that's keeping the prices lower, or at least keeping the market from moving. The stat that you initially said was it's the lowest amount of sales, right? So that's like the total number of transactions, not the price,
yeah, so
right?
the first stat was about sales was down
Yeah,
19.2%.
that's what I
So
mean.
I think you're right. Also the weather, but it's also a seasonal thing too. Typically, December, January, February are quieter times for real estate in Toronto and the GTA. So I think it's
Exactly.
a combination. Do you think the Olympics has anything to do with sales? People are focused on watching the Olympics, or
No.
no? Because
I
some
mean,
people
the
think less
Olympics,
so.
I know some people think that. Some people thought something about the Blue Jays.
Well, sales
I'm
were
not
down
sure.
when the Blue Jays were in the World Series, so it could be just a complete coincidence or seasonal or weather as well, because all those factors
I
were
think
kind of there
it's,
at the same time.
I think for the Blue Jays, I think it's a combination of both. But with the Olympics, um, I don't know. The Olympics were there 4 years ago and didn't impact the sales then. So
Sure.
if anything, it was very, very strong back then.
And I think it's more seasonal than even the weather, to be honest. But I guess
I think so
I
too.
mean, I've still
It's
been
just the
working like
weather
crazy.
isn't. Yeah, yeah.
I've still been working like
I mean,
crazy even in the snow. So,
I read this stat though. I don't know how true it is. Like, 70% of realtors last year didn't do a
oh, yeah,
transaction.
I heard that. I heard that.
So
Do you think that
it's
I heard that I read one that was saying 70% of realtors didn't sell a single home. So I don't know if it's they didn't sell a single home or they didn't do a transaction at all. Regardless,
I
that's
think it was what I read was transaction. They didn't do, or it made it seem like it was a transaction. Either way,
yeah,
if it's not a buy or sell, it's pretty difficult to get by with all the bills that realtors have to pay, right?
yeah,
For licensing, continuing education, stuff.
100%. So why sales are down? There's still too much
Hmm.
uncertainty weighed on consumer confidence. New listings are also down 13.3% year over year. So not as many options to choose from overall last month specifically. Month to month sales dipped again. So from December. So that's not too good. But again, I think it's what we were talking about, seasonal, maybe the weather. A lot
Yeah,
of people are probably waiting for spring.
I
So some
think so
positive
too.
speaking of spring, some positive signals. Spring is about a month away, so that could change things. And Canada's economy is showing some strength. Do you
Yeah.
think, yeah, do you think in this spring, because I personally have a lot of uh, clients that I'm talking with that are waiting to list in the spring. So do you think
Yeah.
that's going to cause a problem with maybe too much supply on the market?
Yeah, I do. I think there's a lot of people in that boat. And I think there's going to be a lot of people who tried to sell last year or towards the end of last year too. And then they're going to be like, I'm going to try again in the spring because that's usually a good time. Um, but I think because there's so many people doing that, and then on top of it, people have to refinance their mortgages now in 2026. There's going to be a lot more people having to sell. So I think if you're buying, it's probably going to be a good time. Um,
The
but
thing
it's going to
is
be
though,
tough.
if there's a lot of first time home buyers, especially on the sidelines waiting, and there's a lot of sellers on the sideline waiting for spring,
I don't believe that
it could
because,
you don't think it could just even out?
yeah, it could if you're right, if that is true. But the way I think about it is there's a lot of first time home buyers waiting. Um, at the same time, there's so many listings now and they're only buying a few of them. I think when there's more listings coming out, they're still only going to buy just the ones they really want. And if there's a lot more available that they don't want, it's just going to cause a lot of inventory on the market.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I guess we'll move on to breakdown by home type. So this is the year over year price change. Again, these are by home type in all of the GTA, Greater Toronto Area. So for detached homes, they fell minus 7.4%. So the next three are
Hmm.
kind of interesting, actually. Semi-detached fell minus 9.7%, townhomes
Hmm.
minus 9.4%, and condos minus 9.8%. So semis, townhomes, and condos were all in the 9%, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. It's pretty
Because in
bad for
previous
condos
month,
though.
yeah, but in previous month, I think condos had a bigger fall in previous months. So
Is
now they're
this
kind of down.
mm, I don't know, condos they're getting hit hard.
Yeah.
Um, I think they all fell a lot, like a decent amount too, because it was also an exceptionally bad um time in terms of there was just a lot less sales. So they're gonna fall more if there's less sales.
Yeah.
Usually, if it's not good inventory.
And that fell, and all those three home types fell over 9% just last month,
Yeah,
like from the
that's
year
crazy.
before. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
So my
Okay.
question is, did it fall compared to 365 days ago, or did it fall compared to 30 days ago?
365 days.
Okay, well, that's interesting. If that's the case, then if you're doing a 2-year comparison, townhomes are doing the best.
Would agree, yeah. And maybe probably detached homes. I always
Okay.
find that interesting with semi-detached, but I think uh, semi-detached, there just isn't as many as there are detached and townhomes. So I think the price change in percentage is affected differently than it would be for detached and townhomes where there's more activity turning over.
Interesting.
So the
Mhm.
inventory active listings are down 13.3% year over year. So less choice for buyers. Seasonally, this is more common in January, as we spoke about. So I personally don't see this as too much of a red flag yet. If it was the hot of spring, let's say end of March, beginning of April, May, and active listings were down that much, then I think that would be a huge red flag.
I think so too. I agree.
Days on the market. So average days on the market is 67 as of last month, slightly higher than last year still. So homes are taking longer to sell, an average of 2 months, basically.
That's what I've noticed when I'm looking at the market too. I'm seeing a lot on there for a long time.
Do you think that's mostly because people aren't making an offer at all? Or do you think that's because they're getting offers, but the sellers are rejecting them? I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think it's both, and I think a lot of people are lowballing, thinking they're gonna get a deal um off something that's already been price cut.
Yeah.
So people are it it's not moving.
I was working on a lease deal the other day because the
Mhm.
rental market is similar to the buying market right now. People are saying you could get rents under asking and it's not as competitive from the tenant's perspective. But I was working with tenants and we went to put in an offer and the agent said to me, don't even, she said it politely, basically, don't waste your time. We have 4 offers already. And then this was for a 2 bedroom listed for $3,200 a month. So still pretty expensive, $3,200 a month for a 2 bedroom. But I guess it depends on location for property.
Let
There's so
me
many
ask you a
factors.
question. How nice was that 3,200 condo?
It was a house actually. It was a semi-detached, but there
Okay.
was no basement, no parking, small
And where
backyard.
was it?
It was it was at Queen and Logan. So the location was pretty prime, like pretty close to the distillery district.
Oh, okay. Um,
Yeah. The
this
actual
two
unit
bedroom.
itself was okay. It was
How
clean.
many square feet do you think it was?
It was probably about 1,000 square feet, the
Man,
main floor and the top floor.
that's a big place for that area for 3,200. I think it was a
But the
pretty
right,
desirable property.
yeah, there was no parking, but there was a backyard. It was a nice place. But I guess what I'm saying is sometimes we look at what the market is and we think that's what it is for everything, right? Like if you're a buyer, let's say you're looking at every listing and you say, "Oh, I could just lowball it," right? Because we're in
Yeah.
a market where we could do that. But it's not necessarily the case. It's you have to go on a case by case basis and really take the subject property you're interested as its own individual assessment because you could potentially come in. There's still places that are selling with multiple offers, is what I'm saying, and renting.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And there's still places going for more than asking.
yeah.
So,
So I think it's easy to get fooled sometimes, like with headlines and stuff. The market's down, prices are um, average under $1 million, but the average price of a detached home in Toronto is still like $1.5 million as of last month. It's
Yeah.
it's really it really depends on the situation. So just keep that in mind. I would say to people, uh, the stats are good
Yeah.
as a general conclusion of
The
what's
stats
going
only
on,
really just tell you the current situation. It's the current environment. It's nothing more than that.
and it
You can
helps you
still only do.
dissect certain areas and certain property types so you have a good idea. But again, it really depends on the property itself.
I agree. That property that you mentioned, I think like 2 years ago, that one would have rented for 3,500 or more easily. So,
That's crazy. I still think 3,200 is crazy.
but it's 1,000 square feet, but near the distillery
Yeah. I guess it's
and freehold.
yeah. I guess it's subjective to the times and what you want and need for your situation. Economic indicators worth mentioning. GDP for Q3 of 2025 was 2.6%. So again, picking up a little bit momentum. Employment is up 1.7%. So that's always good when employment's up. Unemployment is at 8.1% though. So that's not too good. Inflation is 2.4%, up slightly from last month. Bank of Canada's overnight rate, 2.3%, and the prime rate is 4.5%, which was the same as the previous month.
Okay.
So what this all means, buyer hesitation is still the main story. Lots of first-time buyers on the sideline. Although new listings are down last month, overall supply is still more than demand. Average prices finally reached $1 million. Again, sorry, below $1 million. So 973,289 since 2020, which was 926,340, and economic conditions still haven't improved enough yet. I think the biggest takeaway for last month, because everything was kind of the same, uh, give or take, as the previous month. I think the biggest headline is prices finally reached below $1 million.
Yeah, that's a pretty big headline.
That's probably the biggest indicator worth mentioning. I think that,
If anything, maybe we should put that as a headline for the video so we can get clicks.
yeah. I think that's the biggest thing to look at right now. Because will prices
Okay.
keep going down, or will we start to see an uptick up? Because if next month prices, average prices are higher than 973, and then the month after that it goes back to a million, then we kind of have an idea that chances are it's not going to. We hit the bottom, basically, is what I'm saying.
You never know, man. You
That's true.
never know.
You never know. It could start going up and just take a big dump down, maybe.
That's it happens.
So, I think it's unlikely though, and
I think
in
it's very unlikely, but I
I
don't
think
want to say
like
it's
stocks are
impossible.
more volatile sometimes, but I feel like real estate isn't as volatile as that month over
No,
month.
but it does go through periods where it can be crazy too, though.
I guess
Like
we'll
to the
find out.
2008 financial crisis. You're right.
Yeah,
We will find out. All right. Is that everything?
that's everything.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us this week, and on to the next episode. Wish you guys well.